guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stacy. It has been too long since I have filmed. The months of September and October were insanely busy at my house. So many things going on, taking all my time and attention. There's just been so many things going on, major things going on like every single week. And that has just been taking all of my time, and I'm not even finished. So this coming weekend, my community, we're doing a trunk or treat for the kids and a potluck, like a neighborhood potluck kind of thing. So I'm doing that. And then the following weekend, my neighbor is having an Oktoberfest at her house. And then the week after that, we're going to Tennessee, which should be a pretty chill week because I'm not going to do any major projects while I'm there. But it's just been a lot of things like back to back to back. And I just haven't had the time to sit and film. But all that being said, I do have some time today to get this video filmed and hopefully put up in the same day. Because if I don't do it today, I don't know when that's going to happen. So this is the books that I read in September, which feels like a year ago, but it was last month. I haven't been able to get to September's books yet, and I feel very bad about that. But the first book that I finished was our Christian book club pick for the month, and that was A Fool and His Monae by Sandra Orchard. I gave that one 4 stars. That was a contemporary mystery, Christian mystery book, although I feel like it was very light on any like Christian references, any kind of Christian content. It was very light on that. But it's about a woman who works for the FBI, and she deals in the like art department, like art forgeries, art theft, that sort of thing, which was a really cool concept. I don't think I've ever read anything about that part of the FBI before. I liked her as a character. I liked the plot. I liked the mystery. I thought that was interesting. But I especially liked her aunt. I think it was her aunt. It might have been an aunt or like a great aunt, but like an older woman family member of hers. She was hysterical. She was so funny. And so any part where her aunt was in it, I was just kind of cracking up. I believe this is part of a series, and I'm not sure how many books are in this series. I would continue on with this if I'm looking for a contemporary mystery. Contemporary isn't my thing. I don't love contemporary. So for it to be contemporary and I enjoyed it, that's a really good thing. So yeah, I guess that's all I've really got to say about that one. The next one I read was The Silent Governess by Julie Klassen. I also gave that one 4 stars. And that one is historical Christian fiction, which is my favorite genre. I really like Julie Klassen. She does characters really well. She gets me sucked into her story. This one was really good to read in the fall time. I feel like it started out in the fall. It did go through Christmas. So it would be really good to read, you know, like this time of year, even in November and December. I would recommend it. It had a bit of a gothic feel, but it's about a woman who thinks that she did something that causes her to have to run away from home, and she ends up on this property where she overhears some people talking, and she overhears a secret. And because she overhears this secret, she ends up having to stay at the property and become a governess and work there. There's a whole lot to that, but I don't want to give away any spoilers. I really liked the mystery aspect of this story. I really loved the characters. There's good faith elements in this book. I love the setting. It's really hard to go wrong with historical Christian fiction for me. So yeah, I really like this book and I really recommend it. The next one, I actually have a physical copy. I had to buy this. I really wanted this as a physical copy because the writing in this book is some of the best writing that I've ever read. So this is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Holly recommends this book. She's a big fan of this one, and I'm not surprised that I really enjoyed it too. This is a mystery book that is set, I want to say, in like the 1920s, 1930s. I'm not exactly sure, but it's set in the past, and it takes place at a decrepit old English manor. and the setting and the time period was so perfect. This really reminded me of the movie Clue, but if Clue were Groundhog's Day, and if Blake Crouch wrote the book. If you guys have read anything by Blake Crouch, like Recursion, you might understand what I'm talking about. He has a certain writing style to where he like takes you on all these twists and turns and all over the place, and half the time you don't understand what's going on, but you're absorbed in the story. That was this. So I've never read anything by this author before, Stuart Turton. But the writing style reminded me a lot of Blake Crouch. But it's also more beautiful writing than Blake Crouch's writing style. This author takes inanimate objects and gives them like personality. The mystery itself was a bit confusing for me, and that's why I'm giving this 4 stars instead of 5 stars. It was so twisty-turny, and I would have to keep kind of going back and rereading parts because I was getting lost. I feel like this is a book where you need a whiteboard, and you need to, you know, keep track of everything on your whiteboard of what's going on. So it was a bit confusing, and I feel like there was a good chunk through the middle where I was starting to not get bored, but I was just having a harder time staying invested because it just kept going and I wasn't following what was happening. So the beginning of the book and the end of the book were really, really good. I was really surprised by how this played out, how it all got tied together at the end. But as I said, the middle kind of had me like lost in the weeds. So yeah, 4 stars, beautiful writing. I really am interested in reading more by this author. I think he has other books. If you guys have read any of his other stuff, let me know what you thought of it, because this was gorgeous. Last book that I read and finished was The Work of Art by Mimi Matthews. Again, this is historical romance, but it is not Christian fiction, but it is clean. I've read quite a few from Mimi Matthews, and she is one of my favorite authors. I feel like she's a really good go-to for me. If I'm struggling with other books, if I'm DNFing books, I feel like she's a safe bet, and I know I'm gonna enjoy my time reading her stories. So this one is about a beautiful young woman. She is called the Work of Art. That's the nickname she's given around town because she's so beautiful. But she is an orphan, and she gets taken in by her uncle, and this super rich duke or earl, one of those type of people, basically tries to buy her because he likes to collect pieces of art and beautiful things, and he wants her for his collection. And she does not want to be bought, and she does not like him. And so this other man marries her. Basically starts out as a marriage of convenience, but you know how those go in all historical romance books. It is one of the most lovely, beautiful romance stories I've ever read. I loved this main couple so much. I loved her. I loved the guy. He was perfection. He was what I would want from my like hero type of, marriage of convenience person. He was a wounded soldier, which I have just a deep love for because my husband is a disabled vet. And so any stories with that as like part of the plot, I just fall in love with those characters. I just thought this book was beautiful. I gave it 5 stars. The setting was beautiful. The story was beautiful. The characters were beautiful. I loved it. Okay, so I also wanted to quickly talk about some of these books that I DNF'd. I won't go into too much detail though. I got about 50% through this book, The Silver Shadow by Liz Tolsma. This is part of the True Colors Historical Stories of American Crime series. This is Christian historical fiction. And honestly, there really wasn't anything wrong with this book. I just found it incredibly depressing and I didn't want to pick it up. So I would read a few chapters, get really depressed, and then not want to continue reading it. So that's why I stopped. I don't think I will pick this one back up in the future. The story is just too depressing for me. Another one I DNF'd was Jane and the Ghost of Netley by Stephanie Barron. This is being a Jane Austen mystery. And I read another one of these recently. I can't remember the name of it, but I loved it. It was one of my favorite books. I thought it was so well done. This one, I was not into the mystery at all. So Jane Austen is the like sleuth person in this series, and she gets put into a situation where she has to figure out what is going on. This one had to do with like spies, espionage, that sort of thing, and I just was not into it. I just didn't care what was happening. Also, the cast of characters in this one just weren't that interesting to me. In the other book I read, there was a large cast of characters and I was very interested in all of them. This one, not so much, so I quit that one. So that's all I've got for the month of September. I only actually finished 4 books, which is wild. But anyway, glad I finally got this video filmed. I hope y'all are having a great October, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.